Hi, I'm Hal Roberts. This is Bridge City News. Here's some of the top stories we've been following. A mass shooting at a bowling alley in Maine has left 18 people dead and 13 others wounded. Lethbridge MP Rachel Thomas is demanding the CBC apologize to all Canadians for what she calls disinformation from Canada's public broadcaster in regards to the Israel-Hamas war. And the Alberta government announced a $10 million investment to help those with disabilities to rejoin the workforce.
Your nation, your province, your southern Alberta. From the heart of Lethbridge, it's Bridge City News with Hal Roberts.
Thanks so much for joining us. Tragedy on the U.S. East Coast after a man opened fire at a bowling alley and a bar in Lewiston, Maine. Police say 18 people were killed and 13 others were wounded. They say the death toll is expected to rise. A manhunt for the suspected shooter is underway.
And police are currently searching for a Robert R. Card, 4-4 of 1983 of Bowden. Card is considered armed and dangerous. He is a person of interest, however, and that's what we'll label him at moving forward until that changes. If people see him, they should not approach Card or make contact with him in any way.
Now, police say the suspect, 40-year-old Robert Card, is a trained firearms instructor at a U.S. Army Reserve facility in the state. One man who escaped the shooting and lived to see another day said he was able to hide from the shooter in machinery at the bowling alley.
He just came in and there was a loud pop. Thought it was a balloon. I had my back turned to the door. And as soon as I turned and saw it was not a balloon, he was holding a weapon, I just booked it down the lane and I slid basically into where the pins are and climbed up in the machine and was on top of the machines for about 10 minutes until the cops got there. Over 10, where at least I knew they were shots. And then when I got on top of the bowling machine, it was a lot of ruckus back there, so I don't really know from that, but I heard the first one, it was probably 15 feet behind me. I mean, he was close.
Here's a follow-up to a story we brought you about a Monday night shooting in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, which left 5 people dead. A man identifying as the gunman's uncle said it was his nephew who killed a 41-year-old woman and 3 children. Dirk Hallard says the 6, 7, and 12-year-old children who died were the gunman's 44-year-old Bobby Hallard's kids. Police say the gunman then later took his own life when he shot himself. Court documents show that Hallard was charged in 2019 with assaulting a police officer. He was ordered to keep the peace, not possess any weapons, and participate in alcohol abuse counseling. Police say they did receive a call on Sunday night about what could have been perceived as domestic violence at one of the 2 homes in Sault Ste. Marie where the bodies of the victims were found.
Investigators and ourselves are in contact with the family of the victims. The Office of the Chief Coroner is supporting this investigation to provide forensic analysis. After obtaining a search warrant for the residences, officers located and seized 2 firearms inside the home on 2nd Line East, 1 long gun and 1 handgun. The Forensic Identification Unit continues to process both scenes, forensic analysis, ballistics analysis, and the post-mortem report will be required to determine how the firearms are actually used. Sioux Police can confirm the offender has been involved in intimate partner investigations in the past.
The Hamas-run Gaza Health Authority now says more than 7,000 Palestinians have been killed since Israel launched an offensive in Gaza. This follows the October 7th attack on Israeli civilians. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has promised to wipe out the terrorist organization known as Hamas since that brutal attack which killed more than 1,400 people in Israel. Bridge City News has obtained footage from the Israeli military, which appears to show a military offensive using tanks by the Israeli armed forces. The videos allegedly show tanks striking infrastructure and anti-tank missile launch posts. Israel says it launched the raid in order to prepare the battlefield ahead of a widely expected ground invasion. Canada and the United States have asked Israel to hold off until the more than 200 hostages are released by the terrorist group Hamas. Israeli and Palestinian envoys argue their cases at the United Nations in New York before an anticipated ground invasion by Israel is expected to be launched.
Vote to stop the killing. Vote for humanitarian aid to reach those whose very survival depends on it. Vote to stop this madness. You have a chance to do something, to give an important signal. Choose justice, not vengeance. Choose to defend the law, not justify its breach. Choose peace, not more wars.
Israel is not at war with human beings. We are at war with monsters. Our goal is to completely eradicate Hamas's capabilities, and we will use every means at our disposal to accomplish this. Not for revenge, no. Not for retaliation, no. But to ensure that such depravity, such atrocities never occurs again.
Foreign Affairs Minister Melanie Joly's office says Ottawa has learned that another Canadian has been killed as the war between Israel and Hamas continues in Gaza. Global Affairs, however, is not saying where or when the death occurred. Aid groups on Parliament Hill are calling for more humanitarian aid assistance to be allowed into Gaza. That's as the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees says an urgent shipment of fuel needs to enter the Gaza Strip as soon as possible as its supplies have almost run out. Canada is expected to speak on the matter during a special debate in the UN General Assembly on Friday. Lethbridge MP Rachel Thomas does not appear to appreciate the way our public broadcaster, the CBC, is covering the Israeli-Hamas war. Thomas says the CBC is spreading dangerous, quote, disinformation promoted by Hamas. She has put forth a motion in the House of Commons condemning the CBC, which refuses to refer to Hamas as a terrorist organization and is demanding an apology to the Jewish community and to all Canadians.
The CBC is spreading dangerous disinformation promoted by Hamas. Remember just a week ago, there was a supposed Gaza hospital airstrike that was launched by the Israelis. At least this is what was reported by the CBC. Well, now we have the Prime Minister of Canada, the Minister of National Defence, the Intelligence Agency for Canada, the United States, the United Kingdom, and France have all confirmed that this is a lie. It's not true. And so to generate this false narrative that a rocket was launched by Israel is incredibly dangerous, when in fact it was a rocket that was misfired by the terrorists intended for Israel. And it wasn't a hospital that it was bombed, it was actually a parking lot. Now, spreading this type of dangerous disinformation, of course, advances anti-Semitic behavior and belief among Canadians. It's dangerous to behave in this way. But the CBC hasn't come out with an apology. So today, I'm going to committee with my Conservative colleagues, and I'm demanding that the CBC issue that apology that the Jewish community and all Canadians deserve.
The Christian organization ADS recently reached out to the soldiers who were serving on the front lines in Ukraine. An air raid alert helped them to overcome barriers to get alongside the troops and share God's love in action. We have more now on this report from Peter Wooding with the Global News Alliance.
A team from Christian organisation ANTS recently provided spiritual support to soldiers serving on the front lines in south and east Ukraine, as well as bringing them vital aid supplies. Team member Valer explains how an air raid siren opened up opportunities for them to minister to the troops as they took shelter in a basement.
On the beginning, guys are very, they're trying to not to speak to you and say we're not interested to speak in you. Igor was starting playing the guitar, but then they have on their radios that airstrike is coming, and we have the command to go to the basement. And Igor started playing guitar in the basement, and after that we were praying about the guys, and the situation is changed, and they was already started to talk with us, and we understand that that's how God is working with the soldiers.
And as God continues to work through this organisation, ANTS, the teams are planning more aid and ministry trips to those on the front lines in the coming months. Peter Wooding reporting for the Global News Alliance.
Music does soothe the soul. That's nice to see. Well, we saw a bit of a dusting of more flurries again today in Lethbridge, and more snow could be in the forecast fairly soon. Jeanette Roche is here now with an early peek at the forecast. Jeanette, hopefully the flurries will subside and the sky will clear up by the weekend?
You know, it is actually supposed to be not a horrible weekend, Hal. The snow is going to stop falling, the temperature is going to start rising, but not before we have more flurries. Oh yes, there it is. This evening, we're looking at a 60% chance of more flurries, overnight low of -10. Tomorrow's daytime high, only -6. Could see another 30% chance of flurries on Friday. Before we get into that weekend, we're going to see that sunshine again, and plus temperatures are on the way as we get into early next week as well. I'll be back later in the show to give you all those details.
Great. Thanks so much, Jeanette. The Canadian Taxpayers Federation is sounding the alarm over bonuses 98% of executives of the Bank of Canada received last year as inflation and interest rates soared. Now, to chat about this in more detail is the federal director of the CTF, Franco Terrazzano, who joins us from Ottawa. Franco, how much are we talking about when it comes to bonuses?
Well, the average bonus for the Bank of Canada exec last year was more than $43,000. In total, the bonuses were $3.5 million. But look, folks, the Bank of Canada has one job: to keep inflation low and around 2%. They failed their job. Everyone knows they failed their job. And what do? Turn around and give the executives bonuses anyway. Now, look, so many Canadians right now are losing sleep, worried about losing their homes, worried about their credit card bills, and even worried about just putting food on the table. Meanwhile, the executives at the Bank of Canada aren't even missing a bonus.
Now, you say executives and other employees at the Bank of Canada have received millions of dollars in bonuses since 2015?
That's right. I mean, if you look back to the beginning of the pandemic, the Bank of Canada's employees' bonuses in total are about $55 million. So think about that, folks. Okay, during those years, people lost their job, took pay cuts. Many people even lost their small business, and now facing huge inflation. And did that stop the Bank of Canada from handing out tens of millions of dollars in bonuses to their employees? No, it didn't. Okay, so I think many Canadians have every right to be furious that the Crown Corporation in charge of keeping inflation low that failed has been handing out all these bonuses.
Thanks so much, Franco. That was Franco Terrazzano, Federal Director of the Canadian Taxpayers Federation, joining us from Ottawa. Stats Canada says around 64% of workers had paid sick leave coverage as of last November. That's up from 56% in 1995. But the coverage for frontline workers is still far from universal. Lower wage earners are still likely to earn less and report less, that they have sick leave coverage, with only around 17% of workers aged 15 to 64 whose hourly wages are in the bottom 10%, they say have coverage. Federal Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland has agreed to convene a meeting with provincial finance ministers to discuss Alberta's potential plan of pulling out of the Canada Pension Plan. This comes after Ontario's finance minister called for a meeting, saying Alberta's withdrawal could cause serious harm. Freeland says the CPP helps to provide financial security for so many Canadians.
We as Canadians are really, really fortunate that the Canada Pension Plan exists. Countries around the world envy us for having such a strong, secure, financially successful pension plan. The CPP is delivering today very strong returns. We can ask Deb, I think she will confirm that as a fellow pension manager, is delivering very strong returns. And those strong returns mean that the CPP is today providing tremendous security for Canadians from coast to coast to coast.
The Alberta government announced a large investment to help those with disabilities access employment supports. Officials say $10 million will go to provide people with disabilities with more tools and resources to gain new skills and rejoin the workforce. Organizations receiving funding will partner with employers across the province to recruit and retain workers with disabilities. A series of Indigenous policing micro-credentials is now being offered at Lethbridge College for public safety professionals. It's broken up into 6 mini-courses and can be completed online at the individual's own pace. Trudy Mason, the Dean of the Centre for Justice and Human Services, explains how these courses came to be.
A couple of years ago, the former chief of police of the Blood Tribe Police Service came to me and asked if I was familiar with the Rolfe Inquiry. And I actually was not familiar with the Rolfe Inquiry. So that day he taught me quite a few things. And one of the things that he showed me was that in the 1991 recommendations from the Rolfe Inquiry, And the recommendations included that Lethbridge College would be involved in developing or helping educate police members who are policing on a nation to help them understand the Blackfoot culture and the uniqueness of policing on a Blackfoot nation.
The report also specified that the college should take a leading role in bridging cultural differences. Mason says she then approached Lowell Yellowhorn, the manager of Indigenous Services at the college, with the idea. Yellowhorn explains the importance behind offering these courses to safety professionals.
There are going to be some barriers for anybody that comes into a police service role in First Nations community, because there's always the idea that these individuals won't be from that community, and so they're automatically in a deficit because they don't understand the cultural environment, and so communication is automatically going to become a barrier. And so with this micro credential, we developed communication opportunities to learn the Blackfoot language and learn how to speak and greet people.
Officials say the courses are not just for officers working in Indigenous communities, but for anyone who works in the public safety field. The Alberta Newcomer Recognition Awards were held earlier this month. Now hosted by the province, the awards celebrate the outstanding contributions of Albertans born abroad. Now, one of this year's honorees is Clement Esina. He's the executive director of BIPOC Foundation, which is located at Tech Connect here in Lethbridge. Clement and his team have created programs to help underrepresented and newcomer entrepreneurs overcome socioeconomic barriers in Western Canada. Clement was chosen as a winner in the Small Community Enhancement Award category.
It was an absolute honor. Obviously, when we do some of this work, we do not do it for the recognition, but it is rewarding, and it is really, humbling to, be found out and recognized by the province of Alberta under the Newcomers Recognition Program for our work in enhancing small communities. The province, thought that the work that we're doing at BIPOC Foundations is significantly enhancing the lives of underrepresented entrepreneurs across the underrepresented communities, and under that category we were recognized in the last recognition program.
The foundation helps newcomers take advantage of government grants and programs that are not advertised. It helps them get their businesses off the ground. The Lethbridge Corn Maze has been entertaining families across southern Alberta for many years now. It's a fun little getaway for families, especially those who have young kids or grandkids. Theo Slingerland is the owner of the Lethbridge Corn Maze. He says there's a lot of thought that goes into its unique design.
So the first step, of course, is to figure out what you want to have as a picture, like the design, what it will show. Once you get the picture, I draw it out, and then I start making the maze from it and around it. And then you have to think about you're not just looking from the top. You look like pretend you're walking in there, and try to figure out how people will perceive it and then the biggest challenge is to make it not too hard so that it is frustrating, but not too easy that it is no fun.
Certainly is a fun place. Make sure you catch the full interview with Theo Slingerland from the Lethbridge Corn Maze and BCN's Jeanette Rocher coming up in the second half of our newscast. Well, it was on this day that a legendary gunfight took place at the OK Corral. Henry Kissinger says peace is at hand in Vietnam, and Wheel of Fortune host Pat Sajak was born. This is Today in History for October 26th.
October 26, 2001. In Washington, President George W. Bush signs the USA Patriot Act more than a month after the September 11th attacks. The act gives federal authorities unprecedented ability to search, seize, detain, or eavesdrop in their pursuit of possible terrorists.
It will help law enforcement to identify, to dismantle, to disrupt, and to punish terrorists before they strike.
1972. American and North Vietnamese negotiators reach a ceasefire agreement. Henry Kissinger, President Richard Nixon's national security advisor, declares,
"We believe that peace is at hand."
But the agreement soon collapses after South Vietnam objects. Months later, a new agreement is signed, ending America's military role in the Vietnam War. 1881. The gunfight at the OK Corral takes place in Tombstone, Arizona. That's where Wyatt Earp, his two brothers, and Doc Holliday confront Ike Clanton's gang. 3 members of Clanton's gang are killed, while Earp's brothers are wounded. 1942.
You're not crucifying people outside the church on Good Friday.
Bob Hoskins, the character actor whose roles include Who Framed Roger Rabbit, The Long Good Friday, and Mona Lisa, is born in Britain. In 1946, Pat Sajak, longtime host of the game show Wheel of Fortune, is born in Chicago. Day in history, October 26th, Carlotta Bradley, The Associated Press.
Did you know that Pat Sajak also makes $15 million US a year? Wow. Well, we saw more light flurries again today across much of southwestern Alberta, and more of the white stuff may be on the way. The look at the weather picture is coming up. You know, with all of the snow we've received recently in Lethbridge, I'm reminded of that classic song by Paul Simon, Slip Sliding Away. Fortunately, I was finally able to have those winter tires installed in my car. Jeanette Rocher is now with all of the weather details. Jeanette, how did you find the drive into work today?
Yeah, actually not too bad, Hal. I still haven't gotten my new tires put on yet, but I didn't find the drive that badly, so I guess my tires aren't as bad as I originally thought. It's just really those certain corners and roundabouts that get really treacherous. So, yeah, and thanks to you, I now have that song in my head too. So thanks for that. Love Paul Simon. Anyways, yes, a little bit more flurries happening this evening, 60% chance into tomorrow, Friday, 30% chance. Daytime high, -6 only. And then we're going to get into the zeros this weekend. Partly cloudy skies on Saturday, and then a high of 0 as well on Sunday with, there's the sunshine. We're going to see clear skies. And then into Monday, we're looking at -1 now, and then all the way up to 10 degrees on Tuesday, which of course is October 31st, which of course is Halloween. So the trick-or-treaters might actually have some double digits in their forecast there. 9 degrees for an expected high on a Wednesday, with mainly sunny skies to round out that 7-day forecast. And the average high for this time of year, 11 degrees. We've been falling well below that. Average low this time of year, -2. 26 was our high temperature on this day. That happened back in 1944, and in 1939, look what happened there. -21, that was the record low. 8:10, that's when the sun rose this morning. Sunset this evening at 6:20. We're now sitting at 10 hours and 10 minutes exactly of daylight. Sunshine on the west coast tomorrow on both the island and the lower mainland. Victoria looking at a high of 9 degrees, 30 to 50K winds, high of 7 in Vancouver, high of -2 in Edmonton, looking at 60% chance of early morning flurries there, -4 for a high tomorrow in Calgary with mainly sunny skies. Looking at mainly cloudy skies, though, as we get into Saskatoon, -2 for a high. -4 is where Regina is sitting tomorrow, also with a chance of early morning, actually late morning and into afternoon flurries as well. And then Winnipeg looking at 2 centimeters of flurries tomorrow, high of 0. Okay, as we get into central Canada, much different story. We're seeing some precipitation, but look at these temperatures. Toronto, sitting at 22 degrees. Add a humidex to that, looking at a humidex of 23. I think I know where I'm spending my weekend this weekend. They are looking at a 40% chance of early morning showers, though. And in Ottawa, 18 for a high, also seeing some morning showers there, and a 40% chance of showers as well in Montreal, looking at a high of 19 degrees there. As we get into Fredericton, looking at a 30% chance of showers. 18 is the high there. 14 for a high in Halifax, mix of sun and cloud. Charlottetown seeing 60% chance of showers, 14 for a high there, and 8 degrees right up here in St. John's with a mix of sun and clouds. There you have it. That is your forecast.
A strike has officially shut down shipping on the St. Lawrence Seaway. That is interrupting millions of dollars in exports for both Canada and the United States. Experts say this disruption is hurting many industries, including our agriculture and steel sectors.
By striking, they shut down 13 of the 15 locks in the St. Lawrence Seaway system. It's a big deal. I mean, the St. Lawrence Seaway system as a whole, so far this year, has brought in over $16 billion of commerce. And that commerce affects the steel industry, the transportation and construction industry, the farmers. And each day that that system is shut down, there's a loss of millions of dollars.
The United Auto Workers Union says it has reached a tentative contract agreement with Ford. It could be a breakthrough to end the nearly 6-week-old strikes against all of the Detroit Big Three automakers. The 4-year deal could bring to a close the union series of strikes at targeted factories run by Ford, General Motors, and Jeep maker Stellantis.
This is my first strike, but I put in a lot of time and effort with Ford, so I'm just really excited that it's going to work out for everybody. So hopefully GM and Stellantis can get their deals done, and then that's, I don't know really what else to say, just historic day for us, that's for sure. I'm glad I was here for it, to be honest. You know, like I said, I can't come down here every day, but I always made sure I walked that line every Wednesday. All right. All right. I'm going to go home and see my family. Okay.
Now, if the deal is approved by the 57,000 union members at Ford, it could also set the pattern for agreements with the 2 other automakers. Stellantis says it is investing around $1.6 billion US in Leapmotor. It's a Chinese electric vehicle manufacturer. The European-based maker of Jeep and Ram, along with Leapmotor, announced a statement that they have formed a partnership and joint venture that aims to expand the Chinese EV maker's global sales. Stellantis said it will benefit from Leapmotor's tech-first EV ecosystem in China to meet its own targets for shifting to electric vehicles. West Fraser Timber says it earned $159 million in the third quarter. That compared with $216 million a year earlier. The Vancouver-based company reported sales totaling $1.7 billion in the quarter. Now that is down from $2.1 billion in the same period last year. President and CEO Ray Fair says the third quarter saw a continuation of challenging demand, especially in lumber. He says the company cut back on several locations as a result and is focusing now on improving flexibility and lowering costs. Now, here's a look at today's markets. The TSX was down 72 points on the day to finish at 18,875. The Dow was down 251 points to 32,784. The S&P 500 was down 60 on the day to 4186, and the Nasdaq was down 225 points to 12,595. West Texas Intermediate Oil was down $1.91 to 83.48 US per barrel. Natural gas was up 24 cents to 3.25 US. Gold was up 47 cents on the day to 19.85.19 US an ounce, and silver was up a cent to 22.80 US an ounce. Feed wheat is at $9.53 per bushel, barley's at $7.45, canola's at $15.50, and corn is at $8.59 per bushel. Live cattle were up 58 cents to $181.70. Feeder cattle were up 58 cents to $240.55, and lean hogs were up $1.13 to $68.63. That's for the December contract. The Canadian dollar was up slightly over the past 24 hours to 72.31 US. Recapping one of our top stories, tragedy on the U.S. East Coast after a man opened fire at a bowling alley and bar in Lewiston, Maine. Police say 18 people were killed and 13 others were wounded. They say the death toll is expected to rise. Police say the suspect, whom they're looking for, 40-year-old Robert Card, is a trained firearms instructor at a U.S. Army Reserve facility in the state. The Lethbridge corn maze is a delight for so many of us here across southwestern Alberta. Coming up, we're going to chat with the owner of the corn maze, Theo Slingerland, to discuss why it's become so popular. Listen, when you see news happening in your community, be sure to send us an email at info@bridgecitynews.ca. And if you missed any of today's top local stories, visit our website, bridgecitynews.ca.
Here's today's Bridge City News community calendar. Come and enjoy a fun and spooky time at the Fort Whoop-Up's Haunted House, October 27th and 28th. Opportunities to go through the fort's barracks are from 1 to 3 p.m. for kids and 6 to 9 p.m. for those 18 and older. Admission is $5 per person. To register, visit galtmuseum.com. Get ready for a spine-tingling Halloween extravaganza. Enjoy the hauntingly beautiful musical journey, Phantasms, with the Lethbridge Community Band Society's Gold Band, led by Mark Ward. Taking place Saturday, October 28th, beginning at 7 p.m. at College Drive Community Church. For tickets, visit lcbs.ca. Discover a new activity that you love. All are invited to Give It a Try events hosted by the Lethbridge Sport Council. It's a great opportunity to try your hand at a new sport like climbing, badminton, handball, and more. Events are free to attend. Register in advance by visiting lethbridgesportcouncil.ca/program/Give It a Try. And that's today's Bridge City News Community Calendar.
With his passion for agriculture, Theo Slingerland has transformed a simple cornfield into a captivating adventure for families. Today, we have the opportunity to delve into his world, exploring the intricate art of designing a maze out of a cornfield, basically, and the experiences that make visitors return year after year. Welcome, Theo, to Bridge City News. Great to have you on today.
Great to be here.
Okay, well, first off, I want to say I really wanted to do this interview with you on location at the corn maze because I thought it would have looked so great visually. But then, of course, we were hit with a pre-Halloween snowstorm, so it's really nasty out there. But so, you know, the studio will just have to do for now. But anyways, we're glad that you're here. And I just want to know, how has your current season been going for the Lethbridge corn maze? Can you share some highlights and challenges that you've experienced so far?
Yeah, so we have been increasing in numbers. So our weather has been very great for us, except of course this last week with the storm.
Right, yeah.
So busy time is normally September, October, and we had some beautiful weekends. So it's been crazy busy. That's a challenge on its own because you have to have enough staff. You have everything is going and everything is tested to its limits. But people come out, they stay like way longer than they used to, and especially when it's beautiful weather, and they enjoy it, and they keep coming back, I guess. So that's a good thing.
There you go, time after time, year after year. Okay, so one of the most anticipated aspects of the maze is that there's a theme every year. So can you maybe tell us about some of the themes that you have chosen for your maze?
Yeah, so this year we made a train. That was my idea, to make a train like an old locomotive. And once I built the train or drew the train on the picture, I said, hey, I got lots of room. Let's put a high-level bridge on there. So that's how the high-level bridge get underneath there. And other years, it's always a challenge to come up with a new design. Sometimes we use anniversaries, like the 4-H, for example, or the Looney or the Toonie, how many years they have been around. We've done some interesting designs. So people gave me ideas like a spider web.
That doesn't sound easy.
Well, it's fun. It's fun to make.
Okay, so I mean, it's a fascinating process just to design a corn maze, but maybe walk us through how you and your team come up with these designs, and what factors do you consider during the planning phase?
Yeah, so the first step, of course, is to figure out what you want to have as a picture, like the design, what it will show. Once you get the picture, I draw it out, and then I start making the maze from it and around it. And then you have to think about you're not just looking from the top. You look like pretend you're walking in there, and try to figure out how people will perceive it and how. And then the biggest challenge is to make it not too hard, so that it is frustrating, but not too easy that it is no fun.
Yeah, you don't want to get people lost in there forever, right?
That's right. That's right.
Has anyone ever been lost in there and couldn't find their way out? Somebody had to help them?
Yeah, most people get lost, but we
Most
usually have
people
somebody
get
on.
lost. Okay.
Yeah, most people get lost. It's the whole idea.
Yeah, that's the idea of a maze. So I'm just wondering, so when you're designing these patterns, it would require careful planning and precision. So do you use certain techniques or technologies to ensure that the maze is accurately cut and aligns with the chosen theme? Do you use is there like a three-dimensional computer program or something behind all of this?
I always say I'm old school.
Okay.
When I started, there wasn't too much computer programs out there, but there's lots of them now. But I never do. I always draw it on paper, what I learned in kindergarten, and I know how to count and that kind of stuff. And I've done it ever since. No GPS involved yet. Maybe the next generation. So, I mean, they made them thousands of years ago, and they had no GPS then either. So.
Yeah, you really are old school. So you literally are just planning it from your head and a piece of paper.
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. And by this time you kind of know, I'm sure like you've been doing it for a while, so you kind of know what it looks like in there. And it's incredible to me how you do this.
Yeah, there's a few tricks to this, right? I mean, I've been doing it for 24 years, so I learned a few things in years. And it takes me now about anywhere from 2 to 3 days to cut them out.
Okay, well, I would have thought it would take much longer. Does the corn? How tall is the corn? I mean, it's above our heads, obviously.
Yeah, normally it's around to 10 feet. So every year it's a little bit different. At the moment, because of the snow and the frost, is down to 8 feet, I think. But the average is about 10 feet, and we've had 12 feet corn, and we've had 8 feet corn. Just depends on the growing conditions.
Yeah, definitely. Do the growing conditions have to be do certain conditions have to exist for you to do this, or you just do it every year?
Corn likes heat, so this year was a really good corn year. So corn was good and good size, everything. Sometimes we get a lot of cold weather during the time when the corn is growing, and then it stays shorter. In other years, yeah, you get record corn. So it's every year it's a little bit different, but we are a little bit on the edge of where we can grow corn, that kind of corn, but it works every year so far.
Fantastic. Okay, so now your corn maze is, as we mentioned, a popular destination for families and for groups. So what special activities or events have you organized alongside the maze to enhance that visitor experience each year?
Yeah, so we started just a corn maze, and I think we had 2 pigs and a calf, and people love the animals, so we expanded in our petting zoo. So we have a quite good sized petting zoo now, and people can enjoy those. And then we started building things like a little train that we pulled around. We got some short zip lines. We got a thing called rat rollers, those big pipes where people can walk in and roll on some rails. We got some permanent mazes as well that we planted with bushes. So that's a 1 acre maze that's always the same, and that's been around for 15 years now, I think. And this year we put in a jumping pillow, for example, so people can, like a trampoline type idea. So we always try to add something new every year. And one of the big things that we have been adding over the last 10, 15 years is the pumpkins and the pumpkin patch and our displays and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Have you incorporated any challenges or extra puzzles within the maze?
Yeah, we always have a trivia maze. So there will be questions, and if you answer the questions right, we'll send you the right way, and if not, send you the wrong way. So that's one maze. That's the trivia maze.
That.
And then we have the big maze, and we've done scavenger hunts in there before, but we run into some issues. So this year we didn't, but we are looking for other games that we can do in there.
Oh, definitely. It sounds like so much fun. Now, obviously, over the years, farm-to-table experiences have gained a lot of popularity. So does the Lethbridge Corn Maze offer any agricultural education programs or demonstrations to educate visitors about corn farming and agriculture in general?
When schools and students come out, then we do talk about it if they want to. It's up to the people themselves. If they want to hear more about it, they can ask, and we tell them some things. And of course, we have some information on our websites and that kind of stuff. So it's not really that we have an educational program, but we do have a lot of schools come out, but they want to have fun. They don't want to learn anything.
Well, then that's just it, exactly. And, of course, we were talking about the weather. So obviously, weather conditions can significantly impact corn mazes like today. It's a winter wonderland out there, even though we're still in October currently. So how do you handle unexpected weather challenges, and what measures do you take to ensure that the maze remains accessible and enjoyable for visitors?
Yeah, I've been a farmer for quite a while, so you're used to kind of the weather. It's always a challenge. Like now, we close down because of the snow.
Okay.
If it rains, we put straw in the paths, for example, and try to dry it up a little bit and make it not so slippery. Yeah, dry weather is always the best. You just get less attendance, but we try to build things so that we can also have a year accessible when the weather is not that great. Right now, we shovel our snow on our barn entrance, but not in the maze itself.
Okay.
We've done that.
No, interesting. Yeah, I was going to actually ask you if you actually close down in the winter, if you are open year round.
No, we're only actually open with the corn maze from the end of July to the end of October. And then in the spring, we open up with our petting zoo and that kind of stuff in May and June. So and in the winter for the rest, we're closed.
Right. Do you do anything special for Halloween, like make it spooky or anything?
No, we do it every...
It's a popular time right now to get out to the maze, for sure.
I leave it up to the people who work in there if they want to scare people, and they do that. It doesn't have to be Halloween for that. As long if it's dark, it works.
I was going to ask you, what are the hours too?
Yeah, so during the week we're open basically from 4 to 6 or 4 to 9.
Okay.
And on Fridays we're open till 10 o'clock, and on Saturdays also till 10 o'clock.
Oh, fun. Okay. No, excellent. It's an excellent time to scare people for sure, especially at this time of year. Now, I know like community engagement is essential for attractions like yours. So are there any community outreach initiatives or partnerships that you've established this season to involve the residents?
Yeah, well, every year we do actually a fundraiser on Thanksgiving Day.
Yes, I was
So
going to ask you about that.
Yeah. So this year we had a Thanksgiving fundraiser for the Lethbridge Pregnancy Care Center. Every year we choose a different organization. So we all the admission of that day will go to that cause that we did, and we raised anywhere from 10, and this last year was almost $18,000. So we did really good this year.
Fantastic. And I believe your Thanksgiving fundraiser, in addition to the Pregnancy Care Center, I think you had sponsored some children through World Vision as well, right?
That's correct. Yeah, like we started in the year 2000 and we didn't have any money, so we had to do monthly payments. So we decided to go with World Vision, and that we have basically done that ever since, and we do it still. So we have still 4 children for the last 24 years that we sponsored through the proceeds of the fundraiser.
Fantastic. What are you planning? So, I mean, we are getting close to the end of your season, unfortunately. Do you think you're going to open up after this crazy snowfall? It's supposed to get nice again next week.
Well, we're even open tonight again. We only close for 1 day. I mean, it's caution, especially in driving conditions. We have some bookings that we expanded till next week, move them over because it's okay. It's supposed to be nice weather. And then after that, we're done.
How far outside of Lethbridge are you? What's your address?
Well, we are close to Park Lake Provincial Park. So we are from the west side, it's about 20 kilometers to downtown. It's about 30 kilometers.
Like 10 minutes, basically, driving. It's not that far out of town at all. And how much is admission to get into the maze?
The regular admission is $13 for anybody 6 and up, and we have a family discount of $2 per person, and then children between 3 and 5 are $5.
Lovely. Okay. Do you have any plans for your next season? What kind of design you're going to come up with, or is that something you think about over the winter months?
Well, it's going to be our 25th anniversary, so next year. I'm planning to do one of my most favorite mazes, and I think it's going to be a spiderweb. It won't be identical to the one I had in 2004.
Okay, spiderweb sounds absolutely hard, not just to walk through, but also I can't even imagine designing something like that.
Yeah, well, I made it once, so I can do it again.
You can do it again. You can probably do it even harder this time. It'll just get bigger and better, right?
Yeah, well, it used to be 7 acres, now it's 10 acres.
Oh, there you go. It's fantastic. Okay, well, we're almost out of time here, but Theo, I got to ask, what are your thoughts on crop circles? And is it actually you driving around in your tractor creating them?
Well, I've invited some people to come, what are they, people? Anyway, to come and to put some in the field beside me, but so far no luck. So, but I know how to make it.
Okay. Awesome. Well, Theo, thanks so much for your time today. We really appreciate learning about how these crazy, incredible corn mazes are designed. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and it was a pleasure to share it with you.
With millions of people practicing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu globally, as little as 2% make it to the upper ranking in the sport. Ricardo Duarte is the owner of Gracie Barra Jiu-Jitsu in Lethbridge, who will be hosting a free event for kids to begin their journey in self-defense. Ricardo, thanks so much for joining us. Welcome to Bridge City News.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for inviting us to talk about Jiu-Jitsu. It's amazing opportunity to tell everyone about this amazing martial art.
Well, I'm looking forward to learning more about it myself as well. So let's get started. Tell us what motivated you to start practicing Jiu-Jitsu and what inspired you to establish Gracie Barra Jiu-Jitsu Lethbridge?
First, Jiu-Jitsu is a martial art that was developed in Japan and was changed a little bit in Brazil. So it was improved. There's a lot of new techniques created, and it's still like in growing. There's always new technique coming out. So this versatility made me like even more the martial art, because now I can practice something that I can use for my life, because Jiu-Jitsu is about life and the martial art itself. So it helps you to improve yourself every day, to improve your life and the life of people around you. So jiu-jitsu is a lot about life, and you have like an extra martial art that helps you to be in a better shape and also to learn to defend yourself if you need it.
Now, there's lots of martial arts options out there: karate, taekwondo, judo. In your opinion, what are the key advantages of learning jiu-jitsu for self-defense, both in terms of physical skills and mental preparedness?
Yeah, jiu-jitsu, the main difference between jiu-jitsu and other martial arts, it was proven in the 90s when Royce Gracie started fighting on UFC, and then when other Gracie family members and other jiu-jitsu practitioners start like fighting around the world on other tournaments. That jiu-jitsu is a very effective martial art. So when it was developed, like in Brazil, like during the certain part of the time, Helio Gracie, he used jiu-jitsu and he tested with other martial arts. So he kind of proved to everyone that jiu-jitsu was even complete, because when you are like facing someone and the guy needs to come close to you, so that's when jiu-jitsu starts. So we go to the grappling, or we can even work on the stand-up, and you can overcome some other martial arts. So that's something that's very important. So today with the UFC MMA, it was proven again that jiu-jitsu is very effective, because you can either fight and stand up, but when you go to the floor, when you go to grappling, jiu-jitsu is one of the most effective martial arts in the world. So it's very useful.
Interesting. Now, can you share why it's particularly important for children to learn jiu-jitsu? I mean, like when I was a kid, I was, like there was like some violence in school with bullying and stuff. And my parents always told me to go to the principal, not defend myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, basically, we teach you to be water, not fire. So jiu-jitsu is a self-defense martial art. So we don't teach people to be aggressive, to be violent. We teach people how to defend themselves, how to adapt to situations, how to understand when they are in danger, when they are being like threatened by someone in the school or in the street. So to protect yourself. So no, I don't want to fight with you. So you show the opponent that you want to fight. But if you need to use it, you're gonna be very, very protective, because it's very effective. So you don't have to wound your opponent, but sometimes you can lock in positions that he cannot even move, and then someone call the police, and someone can either like help you to defend yourself against your aggressor. So it's very, very interesting the way jiu-jitsu can either be more violent if you need, but we don't teach that. We teach you to control the situation. That's what that's what about jiu-jitsu, is to control the situation.
Oh, so it's all more about de-escalating then, rather than trying to rather than trying to aggravate things.
Yeah, exactly. That's when I always say we are water, we are not fire.
Okay. Now, can you tell us about the various competitions organized by Gracie Barra Jiu-Jitsu Lethbridge, and how do these events contribute to the growth of the jiu-jitsu community?
Yeah, so we are new in town, but Gracie Barra is the biggest franchise Brazilian school in the world. It's became a franchise. We are spread in like 55 countries, so we have a culture. We are directly legacy from the Gracie family. We teach the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in a way that we teach in Brazil, literally like teaching the fundamentals, the basics, all the philosophy about jiu-jitsu, about life. So that helps kids to understand better the life, the situation. So we help parents to grow the kids so they can like behave better, they can be better at school, be a better friend, be a better athlete. And that's in the events we are providing those tryouts. It's a way that we want the community to participate on that, to understand and to embrace the sport, because it's very important for the community to understand this sport, because it's very important for the world, like for people and for their intention to grow in life. So that when I say in the beginning, like that's about jiu-jitsu is about that. It's about growing in life. So that's what we want to bring to the community.
Now, I'm curious about Gracie Barra Jiu-Jitsu. Like, is it a specific discipline, or is it like more of just like a business franchise? Is there like a history and philosophy behind Gracie Barra gyms?
Yes, yes, that is. We have our motto. It's jiu-jitsu for everyone. So we believe that jiu-jitsu needs to be spread around the world to everyone, because our master Carlos always say, if all the world knows jiu-jitsu, we will have a better world. People will be more calm. People will understand better each other. So jiu-jitsu. Gracie Barra is a lot about philosophy. It's a lot about like personal growing. So we have our sports side as well, which is very strong, because we became a franchise, but we are like a team. We call ourselves a team. It's the biggest team in the world nowadays.
Wow.
We have 150,000 people, 55 countries, 6 continents, 1,016 schools around the world right now.
Amazing.
So yeah, and we work literally as a team. So our students can train everywhere in the world. They're going to be very welcome with the team members, etc. So Gracie Barra, it's a huge connection of jiu-jitsu practitioners that love the sport, that love to make new friends, to be in a place they feel welcome. So that's about Gracie Barra. That's what we are.
Yeah, it's just amazing to hear like the diversity in this one organization, like not just jiu-jitsu alone, but like even the Gracie Barra organizations that are all across the world. So you obviously like have a lot of diversity going on here. What kinds of backgrounds and ages do your students come from?
Yeah, so we started 3 years old. So we teach the little kids to behave better, to understand themselves, to learn a lot of motor skills, and through games and jiu-jitsu itself. And then we go every level they go up. So there's more jiu-jitsu, more philosophy, more teaching, working with the parents to help them to improve their lives as well. And for the backgrounds, we believe everyone are equal. Like I said, jiu-jitsu for everyone. We are the same. It doesn't matter your job, doesn't matter your color, your culture. So inside the mat and outside the mat, we treat each other as the same. So that's why we value a lot our uniform, because when we put our uniform, we are exactly the same. We look the same, we think the same, we have the same goal, which is improving either our martial arts skills or our life skills or as a person. So that's what we believe. So we believe we are equal.
Can you tell us how jiu-jitsu has positively impacted the lives of your students, both physically and mentally, and maybe share some success stories or memorable moments from your students that really stand out to you?
Yeah, we have one of our students. He came to the gym. So on his trial, because I was helping professor with the trial, I sit on the mat and I start talking to him. I ask him like, "What's your goal? What are you looking for here?" He was there on the first week we opened. He's still there, very happy. Basically, every day he's there. And he told me, I want to lose weight because I lost my father. And like 1 week later, I lost my grandmother. It was very hard. And after that, the COVID struck, and we were like locked at home. I couldn't handle that very well. And I need something to overcome that, to improve my mental health as well, and also my physical health. And now he already lost like 25 pounds since he started with us. He's like shiny and happy every day. And he came to me like 2 weeks ago. He told me, "Man, this changed life. That's crazy. How I every day I want to come here." Sometimes, of course, because of the trainings, we are a little bit sore. But he always send me messages. He's like, "Man, I would love to be there. I'm a little bit sore, but tomorrow I'll be there." And he's in the gym, improving every day. His goal, he's pushing. So we teach people to believe in themselves. So we teach people that they can do things. Everyone can do things. You just need to believe and need to work hard. So if you just want something, you don't work hard, you probably will not get it. But if you do work hard, and if you believe in yourself, you can go wherever you go. You can be wherever you want to be. So there's something very important for us is working with our students to put on their mind that they are capable. They are totally capable to do whatever they want. So,
how do you approach teaching jiu-jitsu techniques to beginners? The way I envision it, is it a day is day one like sparring, or is it more like WWE when you have people on the ropes and just going down and just like beating people up? Or do you really just start off with the philosophy, and what is the teaching philosophy when it comes to introducing newcomers to this martial art?
Yeah, at first when they get to the gym, I present them myself. I show the gym. I show our kimono. I talk a little bit about philosophy, about where we came from. There are some students, they came to us a little bit like afraid, like scary with what gonna happen now. And during the training, we go, our beginners training is very, very understanding with everyone, because like jiu-jitsu for everyone again. So if you believe that Mr. John, 25 years old, full of health, and Mrs. Kate, 67 years old, first class, like, so we believe they can train together. That's why when you start growing respect and understanding between people, so you start slowly. Our program, our GB1 program, it was made for that. So you can teach them basic techniques so they can learn how to defend. They can learn how to do like a submission, like very cautiously, of course. We take care of each one. We teach them like to do everything they need to learn first, and after that, after they get like 2 degrees on the belt, they can start doing the rolling, which is the jiu-jitsu sparring. However, this rolling is very controlled because they can roll, but like we observe them, so we watch the rolls like very closely, so they don't hurt themselves. So competition trainings are pretty different because they're a little bit more rough, they're harder. So, but if you are invited for a competition team, so you understand that things gonna be a little bit harder. So when you get enough confidence, you can enter the competition team. But until there, you learn the techniques. We take care of each other. So we are a team. We don't need to compete with each other inside the gym. So we are training. We are improving. We are pushing each other up every day and cheering for each other.
Ricardo, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for inviting us, and thank you for the opportunity to talk about jiu-jitsu, which is something that changed my life like a lot, and I'm very happy now because of that. And I want to spread this happiness with everyone.
That's amazing. I'm Naveen Day on behalf of all of us here at Bridge City News. Thanks for watching.